There we go. All right. Welcome to Talk to Him podcast. I'm your host, John Robb, and with me is my co-host, Chris, aka Brown Swagger, and we back. It's been a minute. We've been going for a while. This pandemic is taking a toll on all of us, and we kind of stepped away from the podcast game, but we're back, man. We really love doing this. We love discussing, some really key topics, good content, and we like to give you substance, right? And so today, we bring to you a very important topic that has just kind of crept up or made its way into kind of the mainstream media, and that is the student loan debt bailout, I think they're calling it, or relief. There's been a lot of talk about it, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Good things, that have been said, and there's been some bad things, and people are on both sides of the of the fence when it comes to this thing. Me personally, I'll start off with how I feel about it. I think it's a great thing. I'm a former, Lindenwood alumni. I got my bachelor's and my master's degree. I got about
Lindenwood.
I got about 60, 70K in debt right now. I got to pay off my student loans. Here's the thing. When I signed on the dotted line, when I signed the papers, I knew what I was getting into. I knew that at some point I'd have to pay my loans back. So I'm good to go. My focus is paying my loans off and really taking care of that. I'm blessed. I'm in a good space in my life to where I make good income and I can make those payments. And one day I'll clear that debt. But, where I'm at on the side of whether this relief or bailout is a good thing, bad thing, I think it's a great thing for many. You got folks out there that went to school. They have this debt. Most of them, are have the belief that when they get out of school that they're going to land this really nice job and make a lot of money. It doesn't really happen the way most think it, it does, when they hit reality. So you got this debt. Some people are struggling out there, man. It's just facts, and the fact that this, bailout, relief, assistance is what me and you call it, Chris, is been approved. It's going to help a lot of people out that have been struggling. Folks that are not struggling that much, it's going to be of some aid, right? But I think across the board, it's a really good thing. So, what is your take on this, man? Where you at?
Well, Jay, you already know, but I see it as a great thing. Like you said, people that have either in school or have graduated and are currently paying off their debt, they're going to ask for it. I don't even think anyone felt entitled that someone should help them. However, now that the help is here, why is it a bad thing?
Right.
Not like they're paying off all the debt. You just mentioned you had about 60, 70K.
Right.
You might get 10K. You might even get 20K.
Right.
But you're still going to be left with the bulk of that. And I see nothing wrong with that. You're still carrying your responsibilities.
Right.
And like I was telling somebody else, it was like, dude, I know you're saying, because one of the arguments that I hear is, oh, well, I already paid off all of mine, so my taxes got to pay for somebody else.
I heard that too. I heard that too.
Or I didn't go to college, so my taxes got to pay for you to go to college. It's like, right. Dude, even if it doesn't directly impact you, I guarantee, man, I'm not a gambling dude, but I would bet that somebody in their family can be helped with that, whether it's a spouse, children, nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever. Somebody in your family is going to benefit from that. In fact, some people are going back to college. There's a huge, within the last 10 years, people, above 30 going back to college,
right?
30s and 40s going back to college. So that mom or that dad that said, you know what, I never finished school, I'm gonna go back to school. I was one of them. Lindenwood.
Same here. Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and get my degree, and wasn't expecting anybody to help me, right? But you probably know somebody that went back and now they might have, $20,000 to help them along their journey, which is going to make them a stronger individual, which if all of us are stronger, this is my argument, if all of us are smarter and stronger, that makes our economy and our country stronger. So I don't see anything wrong. I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I don't see anything wrong with it.
You made some good points that look, you know, I'm gonna call it assistance. I hate using the word bailout. This assistance,
right? Because that's the wrong terminology, man.
Yeah,
and that's
like
why I was telling my one friend who's diehard Republican. I was like, dude, I will give you all this. You know how to package up some things. You know how to use that right language, and Republicans fall in line with each other, and you know, just stick to the script, right?
Right.
However, on the other side of the aisle, sometimes the packaging isn't so great. So the terminology or the word choices that we use,
bailout is just not that great.
We could have the greatest thing in the world, but when we present it, it just doesn't sound right, you know.
I'm more so of, because it's an assistance. And to your point, you made some good points. You said, hey, this assistance is being provided, and based on where you're at on the grand scheme of things, whether you didn't have a Pell Grant or you had some Pell Grant, you know, assistance during your time, you could get between, you know, up to 20K. I'm just gonna say up to 20K, because I think one point they made was you get 10K non-Pell Grant and 20K if Pell Grant, but I don't think you're guaranteed all that money. But to your point, if you look at the statistics, there's so many people that when they receive this assistance, their loans are going to be paid off. You got those folks. Then you got folks that still got a little bit of debt. It's going to trim it down enough to where they don't have that much debt left. They might only have like 20, 30K left to pay, right? And then you got folks like me, I owe 60 to 70K straight up. So if I get 20K, now I'm down to, you know, 40, 50K. I think, you know, that helps me out a great deal. That's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm for it. And for the folks like you that want to argue, you know, oh man, my hard-earned tax dollars are going to help somebody out. They knew what they were getting into. They knew that they had to pay these loans off. Well, here's kind of not the argument, but here's something that a different side I want to show. Because again, we've bailed out corporations in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? We've granted subsidies, basically giving companies money every year for
$100 billion each year, $100 billion in subsidies, government subsidies to like Boeing and other companies. You know what I'm saying?
Companies money, man, giving them tax breaks.
And that's fine. That's fine. But why are we angry when we give something to the little man?
And then
I won't say little man, but the individuals, right?
And then on top of that, you know, we funded plenty of wars and just different initiatives to go to other countries and execute, you know, strategic military strategy, right? And so we've done this, but here's the thing: these same folks that kind of raise this argument about assistance, I just want consistency. I don't see the chatter when it's about these other things, and it leads me to believe we pick and choose what we want to be upset about when it comes to where the money goes. You know what I'm saying? Again, this student loan thing, you can't compare it to some of the other spending that we've done. You know, again, the military spending, the subsidies, and the bailouts. That stuff is 3 times or 4 times the student loan assistance that's going on right now. So that's kind of my point. You know,
did I mention 100 billion each year? Did I say that?
Each year. You know what I mean?
Here's another thing for that argument and I know we said we're going to try to get people on our podcast that have opposing views, and I think that'll be wonderful because that's how we grow together, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the other thing: if I'm going to use the argument that, well, I'm not in college, I don't have kids in college, why should my tax dollars pay for that? Think about public schools, K through 12. My son, my youngest, is 21 years old. He's not in public schools anymore. So should I be able to say, well, my tax dollars shouldn't go to public schools anymore because I don't have any kids in college anymore, but I do have grandkids in public school, right? That's why I said it's going to impact somebody in my family. I have cousins, nieces, nephews in public school, right? So somebody in my family's benefited from it, you know? So same thing could be said about some of the other spending that our tax dollars. You pay Missouri tax, it pays for roads. I don't live in Sullivan or DeSoto or you know, I live in Wentzville. Why should I pay Missouri taxes that's going to help other cities, right? Hey, if we want to keep going down that path, then
hey, what about football stadiums and baseball stadiums, right? For folks that don't even like sports, you know.
My dad watches zero sports unless I'm there, right? He's like he doesn't care, but he'll watch it with me because it's time for us to bond. But same thing. Why should his tax dollars be paid to build a stadium? You're absolutely right.
Right. So with me, man, it's like we got to have some consistency. Now, here's the thing: when it comes to our podcast, we're very open to opposing views. You know, everyone has their perspective in terms of how they feel about it. That's cool. You know, I'm just, you know, I would want to hear the opposing views. I've had these conversations, and I would say that, you know, the other side, they're extremely, you know, upset about this assistance. You know, I know it for a fact. That's why we're talking today, Chris. That's why we're bringing this up. But again, opposing views are always welcome, you know, when we talk about
absolutely, absolutely. Another argument is that it'll make the economy worse.
Yeah,
This
I heard that.
package deal, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if I'm freeing you up 10,000, 20,000, whatever the amount is that I free up all these people. Think about it. When those COVID relief checks was coming out,
Right.
some people invested them,
Right.
you know, in the market, which made our, you know, the Dow and, you know, ASDAQ go up and all that, NASDAQ go up or whatever. Some people went out and bought stuff, TVs and cars, right. and you know, that jump started the economy, right? And some people just blew it, right? Just went out to eat. My point is that money that they gave for that COVID relief, people used it and it helped our economy.
Right.
Yeah, it came out of our tax dollars, but it went right back into our economy. Same thing about this this help with the college. People get that money, it frees them up a little bit, and I feel I got a little more wiggle room now. So at first I wasn't going to go and take my wife out to dinner this weekend, but you know what? I can spend an extra $50 now because I know that I have a little bit of relief, or I can go ahead and, you know, buy those stock now that I was thinking about buying, but I was like, I really can't afford it right now. So,
but here's another point though. To your point, when this relief or assistance is being provided, these folks have more money now to go and do these things, buy clothes, buy shoes, invest, you know, maybe get a new car. The money is going right back into the system, right? And I told you this off the air, is that when people have more money in their pockets, they go and they spend more, right? It stimulates the economy. But furthermore, Chris, we all know that this money is going to come back sevenfold through taxes. So everybody gonna get taxed. You know what
right.
I mean? It's gonna come back. So the fact that it's kind of making its way out now, and the government is providing this assistance. Trust me, you reap what you sow. So trust me, it's it's getting sold right now, and it's coming back at some point. So we're gonna be paying the taxes. Trust me, it's gonna be back.
Right, and let's think about another thing. I didn't see that same energy when the upper 5%, 1%, or whoever actually, you know, the or maybe even the upper 10%. What was it, 3-4 years ago when they got the tax breaks and they gave them like, I think the number was like $1.9 trillion.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I saw silence. I didn't see anybody upset about that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the guys that had some arguments about this, we played pickup game, basketball, and during that time, like you said, I was still in the gym playing ball. I didn't hear nothing from them on this. Everybody was silent about it. You know what I'm saying?
They're happy about it. Yay! I didn't hear anybody say, "What about my tax cuts? I didn't get no tax cuts."
Right. You know what I mean? So it's just, all I, like me personally, all I want is consistency. So if you're upset about this, you should be upset about the money we spend on wars. You should be upset about us bailing out companies. Because to be honest with you, I understand why companies are bailed out, because a lot of companies like Walmart and things like that, Ford and all that, they have so much of an impact on our economy that if they collapse, it would mess us up. Right. And I get it. But if we're going to be consistent, let's be consistent and say, I don't like any situation where we're giving money out and we're providing assistance, or you do support it because it does help. One way or another, you need to be on one side or the other. You can't be
same thing with subsidies
and against it.
Right. Same thing with subsidies. I understand why we give companies like Boeing that money each year, because if Boeing decided to move to another country, just like you said, it will hurt, maybe even make our economy collapse if some of our big major companies move their headquarters to another country and we're no longer giving us that tax money that they give, right? So I understand us giving them money. I understand that. That's why I was telling one of my friends, I was like, dude, I'm not saying that I'm against the subsidies or that I'm against the bailouts, because I can see how that is necessary for our country to continue. But at the same time, I also see how it's necessary to give to the middle class or the poor that needs a little bit of assistance so that they can get an education. In some countries, that type of education is free, or at least it's, obtainable. You know, it's not so, you know, they're not paying like 100,000 a semester.
Right, right. I mean, yeah,
So
I mean, it's crazy, yeah. So I
don't we
think
want our people to be educated?
I agree with you, but it goes back to my point, Chris, that it's a mixed bag when it comes to students taking out loans and being able to pay their money back. Some could pay the
Mm-hmm.
money back right away, some can't, some are struggling. Like I said, the when I feel like I'm blessed in the sense that when I went to school right out of high school to college, I wasn't really ready at the time. So I took a break. I went into my career field, really didn't know it was going to be my career field, and I started getting that experience. At some point, I took a step back. I said, you know what? It would really benefit me to get my degree. You know what I'm saying? And so at the point I made that decision, I went back to school. So at this time, I'm getting my bachelor's, I'm getting my master's, and I have experience. Now I'm getting promotions and I'm getting to certain levels within the company to where I'm making more money. And now I'm able to easily pay my loans back without a problem. But here's the thing, on the opposite side of the coin, you got folks that did what I wanted to do, but now that I think about it, I'm like, nah, I don't think that would have been a good idea. They come out of high school, right? They go straight to college. Some of them got their master's degree at 22 and 23, which is cool, right? But guess
But
what?
no experience.
No experience, right?
Or very minimal experience.
Very minimal. And then these kids are finding it very, very hard to get into their career field and make the kind of money they want to make to be able to pay these loans back. So in the meantime, they struggle to make these loan payments while keeping their apartment, while having to buy food, while paying for other expenses, and it just stresses them out. So I'm glad that we're getting relief to people like that. Man, these kids need help until they can, get to a point where, they can manage that loan. So I support it.
Absolutely, 100%. Another thing is I hear a lot is, well, people paying for these expensive liberal art degrees. I don't want to pay. I don't want my taxes to pay for them. And I had to break it down to one of my dudes. It's like, dude, it's out of what is it, like a third of our country? So what, let's say 30 million. Let's say out of the 30 million that are in college right now, only about 700,000 are going towards liberal arts degrees.
Right.
And out of that, actually, it's about 70% of those that are in college right now that are not going to the Ivy League schools or the more expensive schools. They're going to the community colleges or this, the less expensive schools. So that's another thing. It's not that people are trying to live above their means. I really think we have responsible people, and I think we forget that sometimes.
Right.
That all of us are the same pretty much. Yeah, we may have different backgrounds, might have different skin color, might have different beliefs or whatever, but we're all trying to strive and do better for our families, for ourselves.
Yep.
And most of us, and I do mean this, most of us, there's some outliers, there's some, but that's in anything, right? There's some people that abuse the system and all of that, but for the most part, I honestly believe most of us are out here just trying to do our best. And if we remember that, I think we'll have a lot less animosity and a lot less of, oh, I'm not going to have my money helping somebody else out. Dude, calm down.
Right. Hey, to your point, I don't mind helping folks out. I don't mind that my tax dollars is going to help someone that's, that might be struggling to make their loan payments. I get it. I guess for me it's easier because I've been at a place where I was struggling, where I didn't have a nickel to my name. I'm eating ramen ramen noodles and things like that. So I know how it feels. You know what I'm saying? And so it's easy for me to be like, hey man, I get it. Folks need help. Let's help them out. I know they're struggling. So yeah, I'm for it, man.
Yeah, I think you and I both have come from humble beginnings. So there's been times where I've had very little or none, and there's been times when I've had plenty. We've had some conversations where I've talked about when I was making some nice change and I was just blowing the money. I was like, I was young and dumb,
right, Right. Same here.
But I only say that and share that right now at this moment is because I think that has influenced our abilities to empathize with those that may need this assistance,
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that, man. 100%. So yeah, I think we're on the same page. Like I said, it's a very touchy topic. I've seen it trending on social media. A lot of people are talking about it. It's already been passed, so ain't nothing nobody could do to reverse it. So everyone realizes there's an extension on you making your payments. So I think you realize December, the end of December is the last month that it will.
Yeah, it's extended to December. Yep.
Yeah, and then you start making your payments in January, and then at some point, when you go look at your student loan balances, you'll see that they've knocked off anywhere up to 20K from your balance. So I can't wait. I ain't seen it yet. I checked mine the other day. I don't think it happens that fast. I think it goes through a process, but I can't wait to see how much.
Yeah, there was a website, man. I should have did my homework on that one. I just had it too, but there's a website you can go to. So you can Google, student aid or something like that. But there's a website you can go to check to make sure that the government has you down or whatever, that they, basically know that you have a student loan, and whether you qualify for it or not, you can go there. I say check into it. Don't leave it up to chance. Go there, check it out, see if you qualify for it, and get it.
Most definitely.
One last thing too, Jay. Well, two things. One, we got to talk about this again because there's so much more we can talk about.
For sure.
And especially if we can get some people on here so we can kind of, talk about both sides, because right now it's one-sided. I agree because we both have the same perspective basically. But another thing is people were talking about just go be a plumber or go be a carpenter. What about us that are going to trade schools? It didn't say you have to go to a university or college. It says any government loan. And I think I shared this with you. I went to broadcasting school way back in the 90s, and it was a trade school basically. It wasn't like a university or anything, but I got a government loan to go to that school. So if you're going out to get a certificate or something and you get a government loan, then you qualify for that as well, which in some cases would be like some of those trade schools, truck drivers, plumbers, etc. Yep. So don't get mad, jump on board.
I agree, man. And that's a good way to cap it off, Chris. I think we had a great conversation about the student loan relief. We talked a lot. I would like to get others on the podcast that have a different, or opposing view, so they could speak to their from their standpoint. And I think that would be good. So after watching our video, which will be posted on our Facebook page, we also have a YouTube channel as well, Talk to Him Podcast. You can go on there, check this video out, see what you like about it, make some comments, reach out to us in the messenger if you got any questions. And then again, we look to continue this series every single week. So we may be back next week, Chris, with a few members that have opposing views talking about the same topic. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So until then, hey, it was great. It was a good time talking about this topic, man. We did it, Chris. We back. Talk to Him Podcast. We out, baby.
Yes, sir.